Daily stock market update on the 11th of December after US market open. We're going to look at US, UK stocks, no fluff, and the macroeconomy. Oracle is down 13 to 15%. And the reason is, well, it missed its expectations on revenues. Now, it's been under the cosh for quite a while since it jumped up 36% and then gave all of that away. Now, that gives you some indication of volatility, which is unusual for a stock which is in the many billions, or rather it used to be unusual for these companies. What you're finding on US stocks is if you're putting some kind of trading stop loss, you're going to get whipsawed in and out, and which is why it's a lot better to have longer term investment holdings alongside your trades, or even better still, just be investing, because the volatility and the moves on even the slightest numbers being missed, either on the top line, by which we mean revenue or sales, or the bottom line, which we mean profits, even the slightest hint of missing those numbers, i.e. not meeting expectations, and the expectations are set by analysts, or even changing the rate of growth of those. So imagine that. It's not that they thought you would do X and you did less than X. It's that you might even have done more, but the rate of growth you've indicated has diminished. Yeah, that's why investing gets a little bit tricky and everybody isn't rich. So in the case of Oracle, they missed those numbers. However, the issue is that a short-term problem? Is it something to do with just noise from the company itself, or is it a longer term fundamental problem with the nature of the business? Now, I think it's the latter. It is, sorry, I should explain. I think it's not something fundamental with the company. I think it is short-term in nature. However, this is a volatile stock. It's why it doesn't meet what I call my 38 companies, which are part of my Quality 5 Plus, because of the volatility. A bit like Tesla, whilst I have no doubt over the longer term they will rise, I don't want the bump in the road, or the bumps in the road. So there is also, and this is very instructive with Oracle, and it's to do with the rest of the market as well, because at the moment the market is being moved no longer on interest rate expectations, though that will come because we already had the interest rate cut. It's being moved now on AI worries. Anything to do with AI is what is dictating market moves for most companies, certainly at the index level. There are exceptions. I'll come to the UK in a second. So what's the concern both with Oracle and the broader, bigger tech stocks? Capital expenditure, or CapEx. Big AI CapEx plans are making some people worried that they could be overspending. Now, those worries are not actually justified when you consider how much these things cost. It's an arms race with AI because there's so much money being made in profits and to be made in profits. It's like saying your business is spending too much on the internet back in the day, and website build outs and all of that. So I'm not worried about the amount they're spending. In fact, I think it's beneficial for them. Also, there is worries with Oracle on cloud growth. They've got obviously competition from the likes of Amazon and Microsoft. Again, not a structural problem with the company. The business model isn't broken down. It is to do with near-term rear-term growth. Now, what you've got to remember is all companies, you'll know this from your own lives, go through cycles. This is not even going through a negative cycle. So whilst it's not a stock because of the volatility I would want to fill up on, albeit these recent drops make it more attractive, it is one which is a good quality company. Just like a Tesla, if that fell 30, 40%. So I will revisit it to see if now at existing price levels, it hits more of my filters on value, growth, income, and so on. Now, because of Oracle, NVIDIA and the other AI names have sold off somewhat. Obviously, that kind of sentiment moves them low. That is noise. It is not a reason, unless you're a trader, to panic or worry. It's all to be expected. Merck, Visa, they're outperforming as of today. The idea being money will flow to what you might call defensives. Why is Merck and Visa defensive or not cyclical? Well, the reason is, limited in their cyclicality. Merck, healthcare, you're always going to need healthcare. Visa, people are always going to spend. Now, you might think, well, surely Visa is cyclical because of the nature of spending, consumer spending and corporate spending. Actually, it's so well diversified and global and international that it gets to the point that economic cycles, unless they're absolutely massively global, like there's a global recession, take 2008, those kind of environments, it almost becomes like a utility company, forever relatively stable. Now, when there's a rotation into, and you'll hear this term often used, defensive or value companies, do not be fooled into getting overexcited and trying to chase that short-term momentum into various sectors. You're far better off owning companies which are resilient through all cycles. Now, it could be a Visa, which I happen to own, because it was a good value, growing company, stable, and should markets pull back, it's generally shown its ability not to fall too far, not to fall frequently, and to rebound relatively quickly. So all the characteristics I'd want in a growing company with good profitability. So I wouldn't be chasing sectors or momentum. Another one, which I happen to own, Broadcom. Results on Broadcom are going to be a major test on this whole capital expenditure. The market isn't actually worried about capital expenditure. It's using it as an excuse to take profits. Yesterday, I was at Bloomberg, and as you know, I used to do a TV show on Bloomberg TV, some 200-odd episodes. And I'd always point out that the market's often just looking for an excuse to take profits. It's not the underlying issue, which is the problem. So capital expenditure isn't really the issue. And for Broadcom, is capital expenditure holding up? Yes, it is. I.e., are other companies buying their chips and products? And I did some videos yesterday from Bloomberg, which I'll put up on TikTok in the course of the next few days, where I broke down the suppliers of the major companies. So if you take Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Nvidia, who are supplying to them and how much of the revenue do those clients represent, say, of Broadcom? So if, for instance, Amazon represents 9% of Broadcom's revenue, it's important and interesting to know how cross-reliant they are. It's also a warning sign that if any of them become too interdependent upon each other, and there's only half a dozen big spenders or 10 big spenders, then if it hits one of them, it's going to hit the others. But we'll keep an eye out on that. But anyway, as things stand, Broadcom, whilst it could dip, and don't be surprised if there are big drops like with Oracle in some of these companies. Broadcom's one of those where if it does dip sharply, I'll be happy because I'll want to buy more. And that's the attitude and framework to have when you own a stock. UK stocks, AstraZeneca, again, defensive healthcare, that's been holding up the FTSE 100 really today. Entain, popular with some of you, their chief financial officer news that he's departing, and I'm assuming it's a he, usually is. So that's hit that stock somewhat. It's not one which, again, I'd be able to say without deeper analysis, oh, it's dropped, so I'd buy. Remember, unless you've actually tested a hypothesis such as if it drops 10%, is it a good purchase? That in and of itself is too shallow a basis on which to buy stocks. RS Group topping European indices, upgrade and rotation towards industrials. This whole point about rotation towards different sectors, it is great for brokers to tell you that. It is great for newsletters to tell you that because it gets you excited and makes you trade so they make more money. But for you, your job is to keep calm. Think of it like a rodeo horse. One explanation I'd had of the markets, which had been given to me, which I thought was a very good one, is the job of the markets is to get as many people off its back as it can. And that usually helps explain it quite well as well. So Fed cut, that was delivered, but the markets are now more fixated on what the tone is of that. Is it going to be more easing? And we're just not clear. So that story is finished for another week or a few days. And the focus, as I said, is gone back to AI as well. In terms of gold, it's barely budged. It's gone slightly lower. Somebody was pointing out to me earlier today that if you bought gold since Diwali, which was in November, it's this can't be correct. It's gone up 50%. It hasn't gone up 50% since, well, October, November time. But when I was speaking to Gold Refiner, and this is not the base on which I'd buy gold, he reckons another 16% higher Chinese purchases largely. The worry is you're buying at such high levels, how much further can it go? So if you've missed the boat, whether it's gold or anything else, if you need to scratch the itch, buy a small amount. Don't go all in trying to catch up on what you lost on the basis that had you invested earlier, you could have made a lot more. So let's invest loads more now in the hope you catch up. That's not how investing should be done, although that's how emotions are. Silver, all-time highs, I believe. And this is also off the back of gold. They're correlated. It's also worries about the global economy. So you go into safe havens like gold and like silver. Oil, fine. It's no news, so we don't need to worry about it. The biggest focus now is on labor market or employment data coming out of the US and Broadcom earnings. And if Broadcom also shows concern about artificial intelligence capital expenditure, in other words, they're worried also that the uptake in their chips might dip, just like Oracle's cloud services, etc., might dip, then that's 2 in 2 days, and the market is prone to change its entire sentiment. So it won't be stock specific, but again, wouldn't be something fundamentally to worry about because we know the need for chips is certainly going to remain. So nothing to worry about there. Bitcoin around the 90,000 US dollar mark. Barely budged. 2.5% move here or there is barely a sneeze or a cough this flu season. So nothing to see here, as it were. It's not low enough that I'd want to buy more, and it's not moving at a sufficient momentum that I'd want to buy more either. Okay, that's your daily stock market update. I want you to do me a favor, as I always say. Have a look at the free resources that I've got over here on alpeshpatel.com. We've had a revamp, we've added more tools. But what I'd really like you to do, and I always ask this of you in case any of you are new, please share this video or save it. The TikTok algorithm, when you save a video, sends it to more people. Comments are great. I love your comments. Thank you very much. It keeps my fragile ego happy. So please do comment. But when you like, when you subscribe, when you follow, for instance, on YouTube, if you comment or if you subscribe, if you like, all of those things, send it to more people. If you send it to more people and it hits the 3,000 mark viewers, I do another one because it's worth my time. So I hope a free exchange of a little bit of our time, my time to do these, your time to hit save and watch these and share it with other people. Well, it's a bit of giving back from all of us. You're giving back to a broader community of people who benefit from knowing about investing. I'm giving back to a broader community of people who would benefit from investing. And it'll keep me motivated to do more of these in what is otherwise obviously a busy time of year and busy schedule, but I love it. And I'm very grateful to everybody who watches these and feeds back. Even if it's just, they give me a face with lots of those love hearts things, even if it's an emoji. But yeah, feel free to do deeper comments as well. Please repost as well. If you repost on your stories on TikTok, that helps. So the algorithm, I've spoken to TikTok about this, their algorithm weighs different things. Now, TikTok don't reveal their algorithm weightings, but they do weigh different things. And for all of you who are watching this on TikTok or YouTube, you probably know this, but it might be important and useful information, especially if you're a business owner or trying to build up your followers. Certain things are weighed more than others, and that varies at different times. One of the things which is particularly well weighed is if people are saving a video, because it counts for more weight than if somebody's just commenting, for instance. They're looking for engagement, they're looking for quality. And the best way for the moment they can measure quality of output are those various obvious things you can imagine, viewer numbers, and so on. Okay, thank you all very much. I hope that little explanation on how these algorithms work was helpful to you. And as I said, please don't forget to have a look at that. Thank you all very much. And I'll be doing some more videos, stocks of the week, fix your pension series as well. I'm creating a bunch of series like I used to do on my Bloomberg TV show. where everyone knows what to expect. So daily market update, stock of the week, fix your pension, and I'll do some interviews with some of my team members and with some clients from the Great Investments Program as well. So there's some sort of talk to an investor series as well. I think with the series, you get little snippets. Anyway, I've spoken too much. Thank you all very much.